Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's March 24th. This will be our chart lesson for the day, and this is probably our last one this week. I probably won't do one on Fridays. That's kind of been the standard lately. I'll probably take off this weekend. There's a ball game series here in town. I'm probably going to the baseball game, so tomorrow. But anyway, let's talk about our lesson tonight. In the end, it's a range day. You can see the highs and lows, and we really closed right there at the high again. Although I would say we trended up most of the day. The really good part of the trend didn't come until after lunchtime, though. And of course, first thing we want to do when we go, you measure that first leg up, and when we start higher, you would start there. And so you're looking for prices to at least go up into here. But they just kept going. Turns out it's just a range day. But there's a nice trend here, and this you could find this trend line right off those first three swings up on the top. So once we touch this high, you could drag that down, and you could be ready for that trade. And of course, the rest of them were too late in the day for my taste. But anyway, uh, you would have had a target up
Connect.
here of 2024 or so, but it went much higher than that. So pretty good trading day. Not a lot of trades today. You'll see today's lesson won't take long, and that's good because it's tax time, and I've been working on my taxes here and so forth, and so it's been kind of hectic for me trying to keep up with everything and get my taxes to my accountant and all that. Um, so you might have to bear with me for a few more days. If I'm just a little bit slow with email or something the next few days, you'll know why. But anyway, let's talk about the trades. Again, there's not a whole lot of trades today. And for the most part, even though we trended up really from noon on, most of our trading day was sideways. You can see we're sideways here, and we're still sideways here. We're just in a bigger channel, still going sideways. So it really, this kind of trading can be difficult. It's not too bad when you got a easily, a standard, what is the word I'm looking for? A consistent, I guess, where you're consistently bouncing here and turning up and consistently turning down off of this level. When it's like that, it's pretty easy trading. But outside of that, the trading's kind of difficult. So um, when you're just, when you don't have a consistent high and low like this, where it's in here and then it's in here and then it's out here. And so if you're not really good at reading the price action, this can be difficult. And there's actually a trade here I missed. I'm going to go ahead and mark it green. Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there. It could be close to being red, but I missed that one. So, but anyway, let's back out, talk about the trade. You see the bigger picture there. When I came in, it was all downhill. And notice we had this little correction. We came up short right here. So that's a little bit concerning because a lot of times that's when you'll push over. But notice how we had this little bitty bar with only about 3 ticks in it. So whenever you see those on the inside of a bar near the high, if you're wanting to go short, or near the low if you're wanting to go long, those can be good setups. So I went back and forth about whether or not this one should be green or not. But notice that we're coming up and we get a close outside, and we tried to go higher twice. Um, what I liked about this one was letting it break, letting this one break below, and then dropping a limit order a tick or so back in here and seeing if you could get filled. You actually could put a stop right there, um, or you could let it break below there and maybe drop a limit order a tick or so back in that one, and you would have got filled. So there's a couple different ways you could have entered this one, but it's real borderline of being green because there's a good chance we might get an overshoot here. Because we undershot it on this side, and that's generally what happens. You're going to get a break pretty soon thereafter. But this is 2 legs up, and this is that little small inside bar, very low risk. I don't think I would have gone short below that bar because you're going short at a double bottom at the low of the day. And at the time, that would have been the low of the day. So you got to get in back here on this correction. So um, again, this one is borderline being green, but I'm going to leave it red because I liked it just because the market's been so weak. And, the EMA is right there. So as long as your stop really has to go above that bar. So as long as you kept your stop above that bar, then, unless you're just completely wrong and you're probably not going to push through that EMA the first time. You're going to probably get a touch off of it like we did here and then turn down and then maybe push through. Because this is just, I mean, if we were going sideways, it'd be totally different. But look how strong and bearish that is. From the open yesterday straight on, it was all downhill. We're consistently making lower highs and lower lows. So that's the reason that one, I didn't make it green. Instead, I made it red. But as you can see, prices continue to work lower. Notice too, I want to talk about this. There is a break outside this trend line way up here. And it could be, I wasn't sure if maybe the trend line wasn't up here. And maybe it was, and it's a little bit steeper there. But this is close enough. And a lot of times you will see prices break early out of a stronger trend during the overnight. And once you get further into the trend line still holds. In other words, these things that happen in the overnight are not as critical as if it happened during regular trading hours, because you get these exaggerated moves because of the low volume. At least that's my theory of why it happens. But you'll see that quite often, and you'll probably need another break closer into the regular trading session that starts at 8:30 my time, which is Central Standard Time. And notice we got a break there, move to a new low, and then we switch gears. We started correcting and going the other direction. So just keep that in mind, that early, like middle of the night kind of stuff that happens, you can sometimes ignore it. You don't know that you can, but if you get a setup, take it. And that was another reason that I like that one slightly as a red bar. This thing really sold off. There's even a gap here, and I reloaded this a couple of times to see if it would go away. It didn't, so it obviously was real. And somebody else had it on their chart too, so I'm not sure. It just must have been really thin there or whatever. So, but anyway, we made a new low. We start correcting. You get a first entry, pull back second entry. It's a perfect double top. It's right off the EMA. It's the first real close outside since these up here. I like going short there. We're going to at least test this double bottom, maybe make a new low. And we did. We made a new low, and we corrected. And we, from that point on, we were correcting. And that's what you would kind of expect to happen. So we ended up with a larger two-tiered. I wasn't sure if this, because we kept going sideways in here, even though we bounced here, I wasn't real confident in this channel here, because we couldn't get above these highs right here. So you couldn't ignore the sideways movement as well, even though you wanted to pay attention to the trend line as well. So if you saw my mid-morning chart this morning, I actually had this in red and commented on it that I wasn't 100% sure about it. I wasn't 100% sure that I would trust it, simply because you didn't know if the support and resistance, the horizontal stuff here, was going to overtake it, which it did until right here. But in the end, I think we just had a break and a move to a new high. But I do believe the sideways stuff was affecting this. And this is a little failed break lower. And then you get the reversal pattern with a failed second entry short. And that was finally enough to push it on through. And I went back and forth over this one, whether I should make this one blue. But I liked this trade, and I felt pretty confident in it. And the fact that it was a trap, I think you were okay to go long right there. So a lot of times you got to be real careful with all those matching highs there to go long like that, into that. But in this case, because of the trend line, the break, and the fact that it tested it twice more there, and then you had the failed second entry short and all that, I felt like, hey, we're going to make a new high here. And of course we did. We went on considerably higher, and you could have caught a runner on that one and ridden it on up. So just something to think about there. But I think I skipped over a couple of trades. Notice this one. Notice this new low. You're pulling back. You got a channel working up here. That one's tempting. We're not real far away from the EMA, but how bearish it is. And it really is a failed break above that double top right there. But with that channel working up and it closing inside and everything closed inside, I didn't like it. But you get a first entry short there, and then it corrects. And notice the break, the move to a new high, and then you get a second entry short, but it never really triggers because you end up with this inside bar, and you don't. You're fairly close. There's a little bit of room between the EMA there, but I just don't think you can risk a second short right there because we've had the break of this channel and it looks like we're correcting. And if you drew your measured move right here, you didn't quite have a measured move yet, as you can see. So we're close, and sometimes that's close enough, but you got to be hesitant about going short there. I think you're better off just to see what happens. And of course, when you make this higher low and get a failed second entry short there, when this reverses up, just go long right there. No, that's not a very bullish signal bar, but it's a trap. This is like close enough to be two measured legs up and a failure and a bounce off the EMA to want to go long there. So I like that one for the long. And if you did go short there, I definitely would have reversed when it went higher. But you can see we've got maybe definitely three, and this one's mostly overlapping, 4 bars there. We're just kind of going sideways, and we're above all the support and resistance, and there's not a lot of room back to it. And of course, that's a breakout pullback long as well. And I get a lot of questions about those breakout pullback longs. Here's my thought on it. You're better off to forget about those because they fail more times than they work. Generally, you want to take the failed breakout, as just like here. This was a failed breakout. You'd been better off to take that than to try to go long out of there, and it would have worked. The only reason I didn't really like it was because of this trend line. I mean, I could almost still make that one green. If we'd have been a little further away from the EMA, I would have at least made that one green. So, but the breakout pullbacks, I think you're better off to skip them because 90% of the time probably they're going to fail. All breakouts will fail, at least temporarily, even if they're going to continue on. So they don't work out a lot. And the times I like them are when there's a strong trend. It's working along. So if we're trending strongly like this, and you get a little breakout pullback short, then by all means take it, because that's when they really work. But when you're going sideways a lot and working back and forth across the EMA, they just don't work consistently. So skip them and try to fade the breakout or take the opposite trade of the breakout, in other words. So anyway, I would have said no on this short here, and because we'd already had the breakout for one thing, and we pushed on through and made a higher high and we made a higher low. So you really need to be concerned about going up here. And once you start making higher highs and higher lows, then we're probably switched. And so at this point, I thought we were going to continue higher with this trend, but we got stuck right here. There wasn't anything happening. And just from here to here, you just need to stay out of that. It's not worth it. Wait on a breakout and try to fade it. And of course, we traded up into this, so look for a failed breakout on this side and try to get long, because a lot of times that will be the low of the day or the low of a big move. And in this case, it was as well. The only problem with this is you got a horrible signal bar here. If this would have ticked lower and then turned up where you would have trapped some people, I'd have probably made this one red. But the fact that you had such a horrible bar, you still expect the breakout to fail, so I'm going to make it green. But this inside bar is pretty weak. It's not, we just can't make that one blue. So, but then guess what? We push up, we get a first entry short, pull back, we get a second entry short, and you don't want to be taking any shorts into that EMA and trend line right there when we shot back up there and it starts holding again. Um, when those two run congruently, a trend line and the EMA, like they are right there, you got two reasons, two support levels there, and just makes it that much stronger. So when you got the failed second entry short trap, especially right off kind of the highs of that range across there, you're going to trap some people. So I like going long there, and we're looking for a new high here. Uh, Obviously, the bigger pattern is you think it's going to be the channel, or expected it should be, but you're not sure because this thing is just going sideways. And like I said earlier, I had this colored separately with the comments that I wasn't sure about it. But when it held here twice, I felt pretty confident we were going to push on up and make a new high. And of course, we actually go to the other side of the channel before we turn down again. So this turned out to be another nice trade. You would have got a runner out of that too. There's a second entry long here, but it's just too much sideways. We didn't. You can count this as a pullback, even though I got my line here. This was technically your highs, and you see we come back and we've touched that to the tick twice. But I just don't like going long there on a break above all that, with all that congestion right into the highs. So wait and see if you get something maybe that pulls back to a possible trend line, and that happened right here. And so this is a higher low than this double bottom. So I like that one. Off the EMA, off the trend line. If you drew that trend line off those first few closes there, you can see kind of how I drew that. And earlier I had it a little closer, but that's still okay. It still works there. And that's probably right anyway. It doesn't matter. It still closes inside that line. But that bounces right off that line, right off the EMA. And this is you got a double bottom here, then another double bottom, and then a higher low. So you're consistently kind of pushing higher and making higher lows. So I like that one a lot. And nice push. You didn't get a big runner out of it, but you still could have got a couple of points, 3 points out of that maybe. Oops. Didn't mean to grab that. And again, and notice we don't have a break of this shorter term channel here, so you can't go short into that. There's not much room back to the EMA either, or this low. So nice move, and I hate you miss it, but I just don't see a way to get in that one safely. So the right move is to miss it. And then you get the break of that channel, 2 legs down to a new low, and then you get this reversal bar. It's a little piece away from the EMA. Then you make a higher low. And I went back and forth about this one, possibly making it green because it's right into that EMA. But notice that channel working down and the break and 2 measured legs, and then and that reversal bar and a higher low. So and we've been swinging kind of back and forth above the EMA. So I like that one for a long. It's borderline being green because it is right into that EMA, but the swing high is really up here. So you figure it probably will try to, and notice how it did find resistance there before it pushed on higher. That's generally the way it works. So I like this one just because you had a double top and it tested it. Look how far away we are from the EMA. And it turns back down. It got that little break higher by a tick or so, and it turns down. I love those trades. And guess what? You catch a runner here and you ride us all the way back down. You get your first break here, and normally I probably wouldn't have marked this right into that support, but this is one of those where it breaks higher, touches the EMA, and this is a reversal pattern. Look how it pushes. Look how bearish that is. You're most likely going to retest that low, and there's a good chance you're going to make a new low there. So I like going short. Your short is actually 1 tick below this bar, and you didn't get anything more than that out of it, but it pushes on down a couple of points there, but you didn't get anything more than a runner. I mean, you didn't catch a runner on that one. And then it bounces it, and really, again, this one should have probably been green. I mean, this one is probably almost blue, but it's really hard to switch gears back and forth like that. And this is a failed break lower because look at all those matching lows. So, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and mark it green, and it's really borderline blue. But sometimes you actually do have two legs here, but sometimes you'll get a little more pull back here and then make another push down to the low. So I was a little bit leery about making that one blue. But that's what I was trying to tell you earlier. Most of these breakouts fail, and you could just about take them, you know, 90. If you could take them 10 times, and you're going to probably be right 9 times out of 10. So, especially when you get a reversal bar like that. Here's an instance of one that broke higher and failed. It didn't go very far before it pulled back, but now you're in an uptrend, and you can see this. We're constantly working higher here, and we didn't come back down to the lows. So that's the reason to be concerned about that right there. So. Um, Okay, I had a little interruption. I think we were talking about this trade, but yeah, this one's borderline. It could almost be red. So, but like I said, it's hard to switch gears sometimes back and forth like that. Um, by the time we made this double top and this double bottom, though, you got a pretty good indication that this is probably a trading range. So. I'm just not going to get this done tonight. Too many interruptions. But anyway, notice you got the new low here. And look how we just pushed straight through. First entry short, pull back second entry short. That's a sure reversal type pattern. At the very least, we're coming probably to test the high of this range. And that's exactly where we go. That's a quick, easy move there. And then it turns down. And look where it bounces. You get that little push through. It tried multiple times to go through that support area right there. And actually, you probably would have had this up here at these closes, and that's like a little failed break lower. That's supposed to be blue. So I don't think you want to go long above those two bars, but when it breaks above this one, I'm okay just putting a stop there, to be honest. But you could let this one break higher and put a limit order. Uh, Maybe a tick right at that high where you originally would have entered, or maybe even a tick back in. I think you would have gotten filled all the way back, maybe 2 ticks into that bar. And of course, you're at least expecting it to come back up here. But the fact that we tried to go lower here 3 times and could not get back down here, we're probably going higher. And what you want to do is measure that and see where your possible target is. There's your move and your correction. And so you got a target of at least, and you see that's about where we got to. We actually pushed a tick or so above that, and that's where we ended up uh, running across. We actually ended up going a lot further than that in the end, but to that move, we went sideways there for a good while. But that's all after 2 o'clock. So that would have kept you in this trade until the 2 o'clock hour, or when you reach that level and exited. So so it turns out to be a nice trade. And there's actually another bounce off the EMA here. It's a first entry, but it's after 2 o'clock, so it doesn't much matter. But yeah, there weren't a lot of entries today. It's been just a little different lately. Some of the volatility slowed down. Um, we have gotten back above 2,000, so that's interesting. Um, but it took a little while to work through that, and my guess is we may continue to work higher. We'll have to see. But we may continue to chop around like this for a while. But I like it when you got again. I like range days. I like it better when they're more clear, consistent levels of the highs and lows of the range. But that just doesn't always happen. And but when it is more consistent, you can just. I mean, it's easy. I like those days because they're easy days if you understand what's going on. when it's like today, where you got a range here and then the second part here and then a bigger one here, it gets a little bit more difficult. And so I understand that. But anytime you're not sure what's going on, the best move is no trade. And a lot of times, if you'll just use that mindset and say, I'm not sure here, I'm going to watch, that's when you'll see the traps. Because otherwise, you'll get fooled and you'll say, hey, I'm going to take this second entry when you probably should just sit on the sidelines, and you take the trade, and the next thing you know, you're trapped. Well, that's the whole idea behind a trap, is to fool you into entering in the wrong direction, and then they use that momentum to carry prices on quickly in the other direction. So just keep that in mind. So by being patient, a lot of times, if you just waited until you saw the traps, there's probably there might be anywhere from a couple to 5 or 6 or every day. And if you just waited on those, one of those every day, 1 or 2 of those, and just took those trades alone, you'd be surprised how well you could do. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to wrap it up. We're almost 30 minutes into this one, and I intended it for it to be rather quick. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great holiday. I won't be trading tomorrow. I'm going to take off for the holiday. I believe the market is trading regularly Monday. I haven't looked at the schedule, but I believe it is. I think the holiday is considered tomorrow. But if not, if it is Monday, I need to look at my trading calendar to be sure. But if it is Monday, I won't be trading Monday either. But I haven't looked at the calendar. So look at your calendar. Um, and if Monday is a holiday, and it may be a slow day anyway, because a lot of people will take off. I will be here if it's not a holiday, because I'm going to take mine tomorrow. And by Monday, I'll be ready to get back in the swing of things. So unless the holiday's Monday, we will be back to do it again on Monday. So I'm going to wrap it up today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.